Our focus tonight is on starting the year off with some winning strategies. We're highlighting tonight the districts that were honored and recognized in Winnipeg at our zone event for having had particular success with membership. And obviously, our purpose with these meetups is to get some very practical information about success strategies and about things that districts are doing to make sure that they've addressed their challenges of membership. And we have several districts that have really excelled in the last year. One has excelled over several years. Things go up and down, we know that, but we want to hear some of their stories. We want to hear what they've done. And so Margie has two of them spotlighted there now. There'll be two more that will end up on the spotlight screen, or maybe they are and I'm just not seeing them.
No, they're coming.
Four speakers tonight. They'll have about 6 minutes or so each to tell us what's been going on, what are the key success factors in their districts, and then as always we'll have a bit of a Q&A. So on the screen right now, we're going to start. I know Jackie has a couple of slides. The others have not given us slides. Nick, do you have any slides? We'll just check. Or Christine? No. Okay, perfect. We're going to start then with Fred. And Fred, we'll ask you to just tell us very quickly and give us a little bit of an overview of what was it that made your district a winning district in Winnipeg?
Well, Winnipeg starts with win, right? In 2022, under the mentorship of District 5360, past District Governor Dan Doherty, we commissioned an expensive and extensive survey of our members, plus 400 former members. We developed a membership action plan from what we learned, and it is like the Rotary International Action Plan and has four main pillars. We work on expanding our reach, adapting, engaging our members and communities, and increasing our impact. In the fall of 2022, we began the process of engaging our clubs in our action plan by presenting the action plan at their club meetings, both in person and virtually, demonstrating through social media posts how we can engage our members and our communities. And we continued to push out our action plan through 2023, but progress was slow. In the spring of 2024, we arranged for Dan Doherty and Louisa Horn to attend our district leadership seminar, DLS, which is what used to be called PETS in our district, to promote our action plan and introduce making clubs irresistible. Have you heard that before, Louisa? We had an audience of more than 50 club leaders in person and online. This is a hybrid event as we have one of the largest geographical districts in all of Rotary. Our district is larger than many countries and a total population of less than 2.5 million people. Hearing from people outside our district in an engaging way was effective. We like to call it the favorite uncle-aunt syndrome. You can tell your children something over and over. Then one day Aunt Eva or Uncle Ted comes by and says the same thing, and it's like it's the first time they've ever heard it. And so that's kind of the way it worked with our district, and Louisa and Dan got people excited. Our district governor for 2024-25 was Peter Tong. He made it his mission to promote our action plan, and we built on the prior 2 years and achieved success through providing membership incentives for our clubs. We provided $140 for each new member. This figure was meant to offset the impact of RI dues, which in our district is a serious concern. We also reduced our district dues from $70 to $40 during the pandemic and continued to deficit budget to allow this. The dues are a barrier for a lot of our members, and we have a significant district surplus to work with. Our current year incentive plan is $100 per new member, plus another $100 per net member increase at July 1st. We wanted to, this year, start pushing the stop the attrition thing. We used district funds to reduce the fees for DLS and encouraged our clubs to send all their leaders, not just the president-elect. Sophie Dangerfield attended our 2025 DLS and helped our club leaders to understand the value of RI to our clubs and put a face on RI. We encouraged clubs to use the $140 new member incentive to reinstate honorary members to active status. A significant number of our honorary members agreed to help our membership drive in this way. We added an online club that moved from another district. Sorry, Nick. We have added two more satellite clubs. One is online and has members across the country. Our greatest impact has been developing social media campaigns that have encouraged our clubs to do the same. A member spotlight for each week on social media has really caught on. And we have a district public image incentive program that provides $1,000 in matching funds for approved club public image campaigns. Sticky paper. We're struggling to maintain our momentum this year. We just added a new club with 19 new members, but we lost two clubs with a total of 14 members gone. RI's recent decision to rename DEI to Enhancing Participant Engagement, whatever in heck that means, has cost us 3 members to date, and we are sure of that we're losing a few more. Our net gain to date is only 1 member.
Well, thank you, Fred. You were right on time and you gave us some great overview of the things you've done with the incentives, with your focus on social media, and with really, I think, doing a lot of, you were very active in getting your members to be aware of what you were doing and to move things forward. So I know we'll have some questions for you at the end. We're going to hold them till the end. So please, folks, if you have questions, either put them in the chat so we don't lose them or keep track of it. And we will come back to it because I'm sure there will be people who want to know more about what Fred's district has done. I'm just thrilled with the progress that they've made and with what they were able to do by really focusing. Action plan and social media and incentives were part of what they did. Okay, Christine, you're next on my list. So Margie, if you could spotlight Christine for us, we will hear what your district has done to be a winner.
Thank you, Louisa, and everyone else. Good evening and Happy New Year. I am Christine Friedman, past district governor from Southern Connecticut. We're District 7980, and we are so happy to share that we have had 3 years of positive net gain in membership. And we're hopeful that this coming year we'll also have a net gain in membership. I loved what Fred shared, and we've done some of those similar initiatives. And so what I will share with you is something a little bit different of what we did. We really looked at data. Our strategy was really built around a data-driven strategy. Our main focus was to reduce attrition. Rotary International, we follow their same kind of trend that we see about 38% attrition in our district. So in order to reduce that attrition, we thought of a few incentives and strategies and programs that we could do within our district to keep our members in Rotary. We see about 1 in 7 members leave Rotary within under 2 years. So that new member experience and engagement was really important to us to keep our members engaged, those new members under 2 years. One thing that we did do is we made sure that our CRM, whether you're on DACDB or Club Runner, was clean. I know it sounds foolish, but we wanted a clean database. Who's active, who's no longer in Rotary. It really gave us a clean slate. We also needed to know who and what clubs were in what positions, right? Who's the foundation chair? Who's the membership chair? Who's your public image chair? Who's the president? Who's the president-elect? We reached out to all our clubs to make sure that we had that accurate data. That was important because we wanted to reach out and target those chairs with personalized messages that all dealt with membership. We then looked at clubs that were already engaged, right? And what does that mean, engaged? They already had service projects happening. They were already seeing club growth. They were giving to the foundation. Those were our strong clubs. And we identified 6 of those clubs that we could target to have them grow even more. I'm not saying that small clubs aren't ones to target, but we have a small club in our district of 8 members. They're happy with 8 members. right? They give to the foundation, they do their service projects. That's wonderful. They did not themselves want to grow. So we're not going to be putting a lot of energy into that club to help them grow because they didn't want our help. So we identified those 6 clubs that really wanted the district's help to grow even more. So those were a few of our strategies. And then we looked at our growth strategy as a district. So we have approximately 1,800 members. In order to have a net positive, we would have to grow by 15% because we know at the end we're going to lose 10% and we're going to end up with a 5% gain. So look at your total number, whether you're a district or a club. What is your growth number? What you need to grow by, we figured it out, by 15% in order to net at least 10 members. So our goal number for membership during my year as district governor was to grow by 270 members. And we knew that would yield us 27 new members. We got 21. So we reviewed that target. We had a goal, right? We had a goal number from our growth strategy. And I want to clarify that. It's so important. What is your target number? Because we could have said we want to net 20 members, but we didn't know how many in total we would have to get to net that. So that was extremely important to us to do that. What was that growth formula? And we made membership a priority within our budget. As I said, we wanted to keep those members engaged under 2 years. And so with the help of our membership chair, Rick Bassett, who is on the call this evening, we had socials for new members. And so the membership chair, remember, we had our clean database. We reached out to our membership chairs at the clubs saying we are having membership engagement strategies and we're doing social events. So please come to these social events. They were free. And for some reason, they all happened to be at breweries around Connecticut. They were really the buzz after COVID in Southern Connecticut. And we had a really large attendance to these social events, again, built into our district budget for free. And it was a great way to engage these new members to meet some, as I say, not older members, but more experienced members, and really frame their Rotary experience around a bigger network beyond their club. And that was really successful, those social events for new members and our current members too, but it was really geared to our new members.
Fantastic. Thanks, Christine. I love the focus on data. That's certainly something that from a zone perspective, we've been putting a lot of time and effort into as well. And if there's anybody in the call that's saying, jeepers, how do you do that? Where are those data? How do we interpret those data? We can help you. We have people that can do tutorials with you, help you walk through those data. I love that. I love that you talked about incentives as well and the socials and having that priority being membership and having a clean database. Those are just fantastic things to have highlighted. So I thank you for that. We are going to go to Nick next and ask Nick the same question of what made you a winning district, Nick? What can you share with us about those key factors that everybody should know about? Over to you.
Well, thanks, Louisa. Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Christine. Those were fantastic strategies that you both outlined. And in our district, we had, and as you'll hear from what you heard from Fred and Christine, membership growth is a multi-pronged approach. And so our district took a very multi-pronged approach to growth in our membership, and not only a multi-pronged, a long-term vision. It's a 5-year continuity amongst the district governor line who bought into this strategy, which I think is crucial for districts to have a long-term approach, because it's not my year as district governor. It becomes our year and a 5-year, if not longer, strategy to growing membership. So I think the data, and I like Christine, we are very data-driven as well in this district. And the data shows in Rotary that the biggest bang for your buck at this point is from new club development, whether that's satellite club, companion clubs, satellite clubs, etc. So we're really focused on that. And we had 2 new clubs developed during our year in Rotary, which was at the district governor line, encouragement. So we had one new club form, which was 24 new members, and we had a new satellite club during my year as governor, which was 15 members. And as you know, satellite clubs are very much easier to form now. You only need 8 members to form a satellite club. And the idea is for them to become new clubs. And the satellite club, which is 15 members, has now become a new club unto themselves. So I think your biggest bang for your buck is looking at satellite clubs, new club development, as well as enhancing membership growth within the existing clubs. The second thing we did was, I have noticed over the years that there is wonderful information at the Zone, which we're all here tonight, on membership growth strategies and tactics. But it rarely, what I've seen, it rarely gets the trickle-down effect. It may or may not get down to the district governor, and it may or may not get down to the club presidents, and it may or may not get down to the people who are most important in our organization, which is our Rotary members. So what we did in our district, we started a speakers bureau, and we got 40 people from our district, and we trained them on 3 topics: membership, public image, and foundation. And we had them all trained at our PELs, and we did separate Zoom training so that they were all giving the exact same message and the same presentation. And so we asked, and we're going to do this for 5 years, we asked each club to give us 3 presentations a year at their club: 1 on membership, 1 on foundation, 1 on public image. And so we went into the clubs and we gave a presentation about membership. And it's a fulsome presentation about attrition, engagement, retention, all of those things that we know that are important to membership, the value proposition, et cetera, et cetera. And that was very, very fulsome. And one of the things about data that I think we need to remind our own members is that only 1 in 10 Rotarians ever asks someone to join our organization. To me, that's an appalling statistic. And it's something that we are a self-vetting, self-referring organization. And so we challenged our club members during each of these presentations to actually have a meeting separately where they actually write down 5 to 10 names once or twice a year, prospective new members. And there's a whole strategy about that, which you can ask me about later. So that was the second prong. The third prong is we had a promise from each of our governors for 5 years that during their district governor visits, they would emphasize membership and how membership is stressed about engagement and retention and the value proposition, and that members need to ask, and that clubs need to provide value, which is that, again, data-driven. Christine, you mentioned it, why people join, why people stay. And the top 2 reasons are service and fellowship. And if clubs aren't providing them, they're failing. And so to re-emphasize and re-emphasize to clubs, they need to provide their members with service and fellowship opportunities. To gain members and retain members was crucial. The fourth thing we did was, in our district, we formed a new club development committee, which is an inaugural committee that I am now chairing. And it is a committee of district leaders that is focused on new clubs, satellite development, and companion clubs, because a lot of clubs are very fearful of satellite clubs. They're fearful that they are going to, and it's not founded, but it's a fear that they're going to steal members from their clubs, and they're going to ruin their clubs. And this is a fear that is unfounded. So we are concentrating on companion clubs with this new committee, and we're calling them companion clubs to take the fear away from clubs. So these are going to be basically a lot of the traditional noon clubs that are big clubs. And we know that a lot of the new members younger professionals cannot meet at lunch. They need to meet in a cocktail format at night. So we're going to go with a strategic plan about going to the bigger noon clubs and asking them if they'd be interested in a companion club, which would be part of their club, non-threatening manner, and grow their companion clubs by 10, 15, 20 members over the next 3 to 5 years in a non-threatening manner. And so at the same time, concentrating on existing clubs to grow their membership by asking people to join their club, focusing on service and fellowship, and the value proposition of Rotary. So it's worked very well for us, and we will continue this over a 5-year period, which I think is the continuity aspect that we're going to really, prospect. It's not my year, it's our Rotary and a strategic plan. So that's what we're doing. It's incorporating many of the things that Fred's already mentioned, many of the things that Christine mentioned, and it's working very well for us. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick. And I love that you emphasize continuity. I know that's important for Christine and Fred as well, but to really highlight that, I think is so critical. And the fact that you're doing it as a 5-year thing, I think is a really important thing for everyone on the call to really be taking to heart that, this idea of each year having the changes and losing that momentum is just not going to work for us anymore. So thank you for that. Love that. Love the idea of the Speakers Bureau and having those 3 district-driven presentations at clubs is certainly a great way to have some consistency in the messaging as well and to get those messages out. So thank you for that. There were some great tips there. We have one more speaker that we're going to get through so we can get to some Q&A as well. And I know that Jackie has some slides. And Margie, I think you've got those slides ready to go. So we're going to go right over to Jackie Huey.
Yes. I'm humbled to be asked to speak. I just want to start with that because I'm so impressed with Christine, Fred, you and Nick, what you guys have done. So I've taken a lot of notes. So multi-year growth in District 6360. We start off with one mission. I agree with that common goals with all district governors, and that is to make the world a better place. That's what we're all here for. And we have to grow to do that. So it's all about uniting for good and growing. But I got to tell you, it's so humbling to be monitoring the membership growth. I'm texting Louisa along the way going, it's going up, it's going down, it's going up. I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. So we never want to be too bold or too proud or to say we've figured it out because it always changes. It is a roller coaster. The 3 things we did in District 6360 is we had alignment on the 3-year action plan. Completely agree with you, Nick, on that one. Amplified communication and shared promo tools, adding fun factor. In the alignment, we started with visioning. We conducted visioning with our leadership team and our One Summits. We did several. We included everyone from the leadership team. Then we created a strategic vision. And then we created SMART goals. So kind of mapped it out. And then we promoted all of that with the action plan and clubs adopting the action plan so that they could get the club excellence at the end of the year. That was a big goal. The second one, amplifying communication. A lot of PR, like what somebody in the chat was listing. I love that. A lot of PR, a lot of real PR, not staged, just fun. But also we really took advantage of what I call the glue of the district. Our 14 AGs that went out and they activated and they talked to clubs and they reinforced the things we were talking about in leadership. And they did it in social settings. They did it in formal settings, everything. This is one of our AGs. And I have to say that we've embraced past district governors by inviting them for their input. We have a past governors council that is advising me. But I also give a lot of kudos and props to Mark Odling, Kathy Gallagher, who have been really jumping in and doing a lot of extra work. So it isn't just my leadership year, as Nick told me. I was timing myself. Sorry about that. My timer. And we also do a Discover Rotary session where this is Mike Gallagher who picked up Discover Rotary, where we go in and we follow up and we share a little bit more about Rotary, and the AGs are out doing that as well. Mike Huey, congratulations again on getting in the DG line. Shared promo tools, adding fun. We purchased a lot of promotional tools, tents and banners and different things that clubs could share. And we created a spreadsheet, and one of the AGs offered to be the coordinator. So they borrowed this, and this was all over the district, which was really fun. And then we added the fun with ducks. We asked everybody to put a duck in their dashboard and remember to lean into fun this year, because that's really ultimately what people want to do. They want to enjoy life and be the best they can be. So again, 3 actions: alignment on the 3-year action plan, amplified communication, shared promo tools, adding the fun. But here's the fun part about it. And I saw this all over social media. I love this. I can't possibly take anything else on this. What we all say, oh, look, another Rotary project. Isn't that what we're all about here? So much fun. And that's it. That's all I've got.
Whoa. Jackie, you
Thank
put a
you.
lot, as we knew you would, into a short period of time. And it was great to hear you highlight something that I'm sure the others do as well, but you really highlighted that importance of your AGs and the roles that they play. And I'm really delighted that you've done that. And the additional focus that you've had right from the beginning on making sure things were fun, whether it was ducks or other things. We heard again that importance of continuity. So I love that's come through a couple of times. So thank you for adding a couple of new ones. So we've made it to where we wanted to be with our presenters. And now we have an opportunity for people to do questions. I did see a few flashing by on the chat, but I'm going to open it up first to see if people want to raise their hand and ask a question, and then I'll go back and have a look and see what I might have missed from the chat. Any question hands up out there?
So I'm Stacy Fournier. I'm the president-elect for the Auburn Lewiston Breakfast Club in Auburn, Maine. So this is all new to me, and I'm working through it. I know that we try to do on the fifth Wednesday, when we have 5 Wednesdays a month, we try to do a social event, and that's kind of fallen in behind the last few years. So that's what I'm really going to try to do to hopefully entice. We have young kids in Rotaract, and we have older, but we're missing that middle, I think, where I kind of fall. The young, like I would say, young to mid professionals. And I'm just curious if anybody has any recommendations for service projects that would, I mean, we do food banks and, all of those things, but I'm just something new, something fresh that might entice someone that's more of a mid to young professional is kind of what I'm would hope that would then help entice the professionals in the community to be members. I was just looking for recommendations for that.
Great
I'll jump
question.
on that if I may, Stacy. Uh, why don't you identify the young people that you are targeting and find a way to invite them to a breakfast that your club sponsors, something like that, and ask them what they would like to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know that so our membership chair is um really putting a focus. We do corporate memberships. I'm not sure how widely used those are. And so we're trying to get those people in, and we've gotten two this month, which is really great. We're getting through the process of getting them accepted and everything. But we're hoping that brings in more young professionals, and I would definitely I like your idea, and I'll definitely start talking to them when they arrive and see like what kind of things interest them for service projects and events to help keep them there and not just go to a couple meetings and then leave.
Yeah, I totally agree with Fred to ask them. I don't know if Jackie, Nick, or Charlene or Christine have anything else to add to that, but I would certainly reinforce what Fred said.
Yeah, I would say Fred's right on the money. I think too often we get new members in, and to Christine's point and Fred's point, the majority leave within 1 to 3 years. And if you ask them why, they'll say they were not given anything to do. And so one of the key things we find when you have new members and say, what are you passionate about? What is it that you want? And normally it's service and fellowship is what, so, but the key is, what is the service that they are interested in? And once you identify that, as Fred indicated, give them that to do, let them run with it. A lot of clubs, for example, here's a membership trick that our district has done for years, and clubs have given a budget for new members. So new members will give, say, the club will give them $500 to $1,000 and say, here, go do a local community project that is of interest to you. And that is crucial because it gets them involved right away in service and something that they are interested in. And so that's a very crucial aspect. And I want to also add one other caveat to that, is that cause-based clubs are something that we need to really focus on. So for example, those younger folks, for example, are very interested in causes, whether it be the environment, social justice, maternal and child, whatever it may be. And those are opportunities for young people to start cause-based clubs that say they are not interested in meeting and doing logistics of Rotary, but they're interested in doing projects that they're interested in. And that's an opportunity for us, for younger people, to start those clubs.
Great. Thanks, Nick. I'm going to jump to Manon, who has her hand up. Manon?
Good evening. Thank you very much, Louisa. It's great to see all of you, and I loved all your suggestions. My question to you is, how did you integrate the membership action plan with all of these ideas? Did you use it? Are clubs using it? And how successful was that? Because that was our big push here since July 1st was the goal was 100% of the clubs using the membership action plan. We have 97 new members in our district yeah, absolutely. So why? Because the clubs were now focused on it. But all of your stuff was all about taking action, and that was big. But I need to know, did membership action plan play a role in all your strategies?
Minnow, I can answer that, at least for District 6360. It was huge. I mean, we leaned into that first and foremost as a district, but then we held 2 summits during each governor's year to reinforce the action plans. So we started in Mark Odlin's year, and then we've continued by reinforcing how to bring the action plan to life more than anything. And we brought ducks to the action plan, of course.
My ducks are on order already.
Anybody else want to speak to that?
That was a big piece of what Louisa and Dan brought to our leadership seminar, and that really kickstarted the clubs getting more involved in the action plan. They showed them how it worked and why you needed to be on board, and our clubs then started buying into it. We were also able in our monthly messages to let people know which clubs were growing the fastest, and made a point that the ones that were growing the fastest were engaged in the action plan and were making really good use of social media.
Great. Thanks, Fred.
Yeah. I would also add just real quickly until we get to the next question that our district didn't necessarily utilize the action plan, but we encouraged and through our PELS training, our clubs to utilize the action plan. And so we were trained on how to inspire and motivate the clubs to use the action plan, not only to, I know we're talking about membership, but to grow membership and foundation giving and expanding new clubs, whatever it may be. So it's a really useful tool. And I think it's one that you can encourage even more clubs to use.
Great. Thanks, Christine. Lauren.
Yeah, Louise, somebody talked about having ideas on trying to attract younger generations. And I did one club in our District 5040 put a climbing wall up. And because they put the climbing wall, it was very younger, attractive, and it created a companion club before there was companion club theories out there. And so they started the club. They couldn't meet at the breakfast meetings because of the younger families. The other one we saw was, as a district governor, we saw a fundraiser in the Lower Mainland in Vancouver called Hoopathon, which is foul shots. And they partner with high school teams, basketball teams, university teams, college teams, and you just throw free throws and you get pledges. But the point was it includes Interact, Rotaract, and Rotary clubs. And if you can get an area-based fundraiser like that, which includes the younger generation, both the interactors and the Rotaractors. The third thing is listen to the interactors. If you listen to the interactors, you'll have a better idea what they want and how you want to schedule yourself to go ahead. And the last thing that's been working really well in some clubs in District 5040 is if you can attract 4 to 5 younger generational people under the age of 40, you now have a cohort. And those cohorts invite other younger people. And that is the critical longevity for Rotary.
Yeah. Thanks, Lauren. Those are great points. Mark.
Yes. I've heard this ongoing theme about creating incentives through the budget process. And I love that idea. It's putting your money, it's putting your priorities through your budget in what you really believe in. My question is this: when you did that, what did you give up in terms of other projects in your district? What did you have to take out of your budget that you were funding in order to fund those membership initiatives?
I'll answer that. We didn't have to take anything out because we have a significant surplus to work with, and we decided that we didn't need to continue to build the surplus. We needed to spend it, and so we're spending it on member incentives, and we're spending it on making all of our training as close to costing nothing as possible. We're investing in our members, so
Really?
we're
Brilliant.
not giving anything up. If you didn't have a surplus, you would have to go through that process.
Right. Thanks,
Right
Fred.
on our end, we used to meet in person all the time with our assistant governors, and we would pay for their mileage reimbursement and pay for their meal. And we would meet at the Graduate Club, which is part of Yale and New Haven County, and we decided, well, one, it's post-COVID. No one wants to always meet in person. So we did a mix of every other meeting would be in person. And we used some of those savings to reallocate funds into membership. And we looked at the whole budget of where we could reallocate funds. And you'll be surprised, we had 2 storage units. We weren't using both of them, right? Really go through your budget and do a cost savings report on it and see where you can find other cost savings that, again, you could reallocate to other areas, because we always talk about membership, public image, and foundation. And I know within our budget, still, those are the 3 areas that don't have the most funds. We spend a lot of money on training, which is just equally as important. But if that's where your funds are going, maybe emphasize more membership growth within those trainings.
Right. Thanks, Christine. Looking at some of the questions in the chat that had flown by me as we went, and there was one, Fred, about your survey. Could you just speak a little bit about the survey and whether or not that would be available for other people to see what you did in that survey way back?
I could make it available on a request basis. It was available to all of our clubs. Each club had its own password to get into it. It was. I'm not a fan of surveys, but this was the best survey that I've ever seen. We hired a company out of Winnipeg to do it. It was extremely thorough. They hit everything, and I think one of the most important things they hit was they took it on themselves to they got our former member list from Club Runner, and they got 400 replies back from former members. And here's an interesting stat: 25% of the former members, when asked the question, they were asked a number of questions. Why did you leave, and all the rest of that. But the zinger question at the end was, would you ever consider joining Rotary again? And 25% of them said yes if I was asked. So we've been pushing our clubs to mine their former member lists.
Right. Great point. Yeah, there's many ways to approach the survey thing. One of the things that one district did, my own district a few years back, was hired a graduate student at one of the local universities to do some of the survey work. And it didn't cost very much for the district to do that, but it allowed us to have that sort of third party, somebody involved in qualitative research doing that as part of their work, and really made a difference to get some great data. And that was a phone survey that we did of previous members, and basically said, here's the list, start making phone calls till you get 100 people, and here are the questions, but pursue it, make sure we get good data. And it was a really helpful way to do a survey as well. So go outside the usual ways of trying to gather that data, because as we've heard from Christine and others, data are really important in all of this. See, one of the
Louisa,
questions,
one of the other things we learned from the survey is that the number one reason that people join Rotary is for fellowship and an opportunity to give back to the community. The number one reason they stay is fellowship. by a huge margin.
Yeah, we hear that over and over. So that's a critical piece. Someone had asked about districts that have alumni associations or gatherings of alumni. Anybody, any of you folks have alumni groups and have any experience with that? And I'm assuming that's alumni of all Rotary programs. So whether it's former youth exchange or Peace Scholars, whoever it might be from an alumni perspective, RILA participants, anybody have a alumni story?
We do not, but I think people are taking away ideas from this group. I'm definitely taking that one back too. And our district governor is on this call. So Stephanie, let's make a note of alumni groups. But I think yes, it's a demographic, it's a target, right? We're leaving prospective members on the table with our alumni groups. They've already been engaged. They already have knowledge. It's easy. I would say definitely develop a plan and go after them.
Right. Yeah, I think we're probably all guilty of that. And I know some years ago I was asking about, former youth exchange, former whatever, and we didn't have good lists. It's so easy to let that slip. And so those are really important things to do. Okay, we're coming up to our time. I'm going to end with one more question from the chat for you, Jackie. Fun with a duck. What's it all about?
Yeah, I answered it in the chat, but we were just looking for something symbolic because there's a lot that hits people in their daily life. They have a lot going on, and Rotary is another thing that we're doing. But everybody wants to do something that's fun. So we're looking for some symbolism of fun and something that everyone could lean into and embrace and something that's simple. And came up with the duck idea in part because I have a very good friend, a very successful business person that collects ducks. He has 300 around his pool in Florida. And it was like, why not ducks? It was that simple. But ironically, the clubs are running with it. We are up 41 members net right now. I'm super excited, and the presidents are excited. So I feel that if you can get people excited and get them to lean into something fun like that, the membership is important, it's critical, but it's easier to talk about having fun and getting together and doing things than to say, you got to join this. We want to give you this committee. So that's how we came into it.
Great. Thank you. The ducks are definitely fun. And I see in the chat for those that were asking about the survey, Fred has put his email there, so I'll refer you to that. And yes, Fred, penguins would also work, I think, as well as ducks for sure. We are at time, and I'd like to respect that for those that have other things to do. We have tried to keep these to 45 minutes. We started a little late tonight, so we've let it go over a bit. There will be a recording, and it will be shared. We do a little bit of editing, and then it will be on the Zone website, as will all others. We're a bit behind, but we'll catch up on that shortly. Also wanted to remind you about our upcoming orientation event. If you've gotten the emails from Cindy and myself, you'll see information about that. So I encourage you to let your clubs know about that. It's the high level orientation, 45 minutes of sort of everything you need to know at the high level about Rotary, and they've been quite successful. We did them 4 times last year, and we're doing it again this year, and are happy to do them for districts or AG groups, whatever. We at the Zone are here to support whatever we can to assist you with your membership goals. If there are people that still have other questions that you would like to ask, I'm sure our speakers might hang on for a minute or two, but we will let the others go so that your time is respected. And I thank you very, very much for your participation tonight. And I especially thank our 4 terrific speakers who gave us each some different strategies and tactics. And I'm sure everybody's taken away something. So thank you very much for that. If there are any other questions, now would be the time before we pull it all together. And I'm not seeing any other hands. We answered all their questions. You were terrific. Well, thank you very much. Thank you to Margie, as always, for keeping us on track and managing the whole Zoom process. We've managed to get through a non-hacked session again, so that's always good. And we thank you all. And if people have suggestions and ideas for other topics for us to address at these sessions, feel free to let us know. We're open to that as well. Otherwise, we will say thank you and good night.